All right. Good morning, psychology students. Okay, so what we're going to talk about today is we're going to talk about emotions, which is the second half of the PowerPoint for motivation. So you should have already seen some of this. We're going to kind of define emotion for you. Emotion, the dictionary definition of it is a state characterized by physiological arousal, changes in facial expression, gestures, postures, feelings. So, when you're talking about, emotion, obviously the happy, the sad, the smiling, all those things, expressions. It's the idea that sometimes you can look at people and sometimes you could tell that they're angry. You could tell by their posture. You could also tell if they're bored, if they're just kind of sitting there. You could sort of tell, and most people can read people's emotions to a certain extent. You've gotten used to, like when you're sitting there slumped over, that generally indicates what? Boredom, or it could indicate fatigue. When you see somebody smiling, you automatically interpret that as maybe happy. I know people, myself included, who laugh when they're angry. That's a weird kind of thing, but I've known people like that. Some examples of the effects of emotions. If we're going to talk about that, sweaty palms. When you're scared, like when I have to sit here and I play guitar, and I go to a show. Sometimes I'm pretty nervous, and so my palms will sweat. I'll find that my heart might race a little bit. I might be a little bit more forgetful. It's one of those things where when you are emotional, there's a physiological reaction to that. I've had some people tell me that, Mr. McPhail, I just don't get angry. Well, we all get angry. What happens though is if you don't ever get angry, somebody offends you and you just go, it ain't anything. You're stuffing that, and so like when you stuff that emotion long enough, what happens is that it eventually will come out sideways on somebody. And eventually you will blow up. Everybody gets angry. And there's healthy ways to express anger and there's unhealthy ways to express anger. In therapy, when that has occurred, my therapist would always talk about the fact that, using I feel statements. And so when you talk about, I feel statements, and you write down, when you do this, I feel this way. Those are I feel statements, healthy expressions of emotion. So it's not bottling up inside of you, and so you can actually confront the problem. The other thing is, when you are talking about, offensive people or people who might make you angry, you can approach it like this. And I'm trying to think of a way to say this constructively. Think of it like baseball. Those of you who play baseball, you got three choices with baseball. Somebody throws a ball at you, and you can let it hit you. Okay? Or when they throw that ball at you, you can do this, and it goes right over your head. Or what you can do is you could take that ball, and you could throw it right back at them. So what I'm trying to tell you is that, when somebody throws a feeling at you, or throws something at you, they cuss at you, they tell you you're something you don't like to hear, then what you have the choice to do is, A, you can let it hit you in the head and you can take it personally. It might knock you out. You can let it go right on by. or you can take it and you could throw it back. And you always have a choice when you express emotion. And that applies for every kind of state of emotion, and that's not just anger. Often it does apply to anger in that way. But with emotion, you always have a choice. Now, me personally, I do have a temper, and I do get angry, and sometimes, I don't express professionally or nicely what I should say. And that's where we're all at with emotion, because we're all learning, and we're all learning how to express emotion. We start learning that as children, and so when you say something at home and your parents correct you, they're trying to socialize you. They're trying to teach you there's certain emotions that you can express, and there's certain emotions you can't. And emotions can be cultural. There are certain things. When little Indian babies were born, especially Native Americans, what their mothers would do, especially Cherokee or any of those kind of tribes, is they would take them, they would put them in a little papoose, and when they would cry, what they would do is they would take them out to a tree and hang them on the tree in the papoose and leave until the baby stops crying. And so what does that baby learn? That baby learns not to cry. And, that's how they dealt with their emotions. I had found dealing with Native Americans, sometimes, they are not the most emotional people in the world. And yet some people are. The Irish are very, very emotional people. And we tend to express a lot, and we tend to express inappropriately. And, that's emotion. We tend to get the stereotype that we're hot-headed, we have tempers, and some of that is true and some of it's not. One of the things that is universal among everybody is the smile. And it doesn't matter if you are Native American, it doesn't matter if you're black, it doesn't matter if you're Mexican, it doesn't matter if you're white. A smile. People in every culture, in every part of the world, know what that means. And it's called a cultural universal. And finally, when we're talking about this kind of stuff, we talk about the facial feedback hypothesis. So this is the idea that facial expressions can cause changes in emotion. So when you're sad, there's a correlation between feeling sad and making the sad face and feeling the physiological change in your body. That's the facial feedback hypothesis. Same thing with being angry. That facial expressions can cause changes in emotions. That being said, we choose to be in control of our emotions or not. We choose to. And it's just a matter of learning when to express emotions, when to not express emotions. Jealousy is an emotion. We have to learn when and when not to. Some of us are more in control of that kind of thing than others. Facial expressions. You always got to watch your facial expressions because people can read that. The poker face. There's that. Anyway, so that's my talk for today. It was very short. Let's put it this way. I get emotional when I think about, or I feel, and let's use the I feel statement, that when we're not in school, I feel sad. I feel sad not seeing you guys, and I wish that we were back sooner. We may be back May 4th. We may not be. Nobody has decided that yet. But know that I do miss you, and that is genuine. And we will probably see you before the end of the year. Let's hope. Okay? So, gonna go. That's the end of the lesson. And I will talk to you guys probably next week, if I'm not talking to you on Teams. Oh, one other thing. Continue to do your assignments. Please keep turning those in. Okay, grades are going to go out pretty soon, so just know that. All right? Okay. All right, see you guys later. Have a good night. God bless.